Liam ran along the wet sidewalk of 2nd Avenue, dodging puddles and hurried pedestrians. His bare feet inside his torn sneakers hurt with every step. He clutched a folded notebook page against his chest, its edges dirty, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. He suddenly stopped in front of the Whole Foods on the corner of 14th Street, taking a deep breath as he watched the cars pass by and adults enter and exit the glass doors like they lived on another planet. There, amid the screech of bus brakes and the scent of expensive food escaping eco-friendly bags, Liam waited for someone who looked important, someone who might, by a miracle, be willing to listen. Then he saw him. A tall man in a suit was leaving the store, balancing a paper bag and talking on the phone. Dark blue blazer, slicked back hair, serious expression. He was rushing across the sidewalk when Liam stepped in front of him. "Sir!" The voice came out choked but firm. "Can you look at my resume?" The man stopped abruptly. He looked down at the dirty, scrawny boy in front of him, frowned. "Your what?" "My resume," Liam repeated, holding out the paper with trembling hands. The man hung up without saying anything to the person on the other end. He took the paper hesitantly. It was a college-ruled notebook sheet written in red pen with large, crooked letters. At the top, poorly centered, it read, "My name is Liam Parker. I am 11-year-old. I want to work. I don't write good, but I learn fast. I make coffee, clean floor, help with anything. Don't use phone and don't steal, just want a chance. Thank you." The silence between them was heavier than the icy wind cutting through the afternoon. The man looked over the page once more, as if unsure what to do with it. "You wrote this?" Liam nodded. "Where are your parents?" "My dad's been in jail for 2 years. My mum disappeared when I was little. I live in a place with other kids." "We don't do bad stuff. I just want to work, sir." The man looked around. No one stopped. No one saw. Liam seemed invisible to the rest of the world, except to him. He took a deep breath, carefully folded the paper, and slipped it into his blazer pocket. "What's your name?" "Liam. Liam Parker. I'm Derek Monroe. I work nearby. Have you eaten today?" Liam lowered his eyes, bit his lip, fidgeted in his empty pockets as if he could lie with a gesture. "No." "Let's fix that first." Derek spun on his heels and began to walk. Liam hesitated for a second, then followed silently. Each step echoed loudly to him. People on the sidewalk stared. A businessman walking with a ragged boy. It was like seeing a wolf and a lamb in the same field. They arrived at a modern glass building. The facade reflected the grey sky and taxi headlights. Derek pulled open the door. A security guard raised his hand, but Derek signaled with authority. "He's with me." They rode the elevator to the 4th floor. When the doors opened, Liam saw for the first time what a real office looked like. Glass-walled rooms, clean carpets, computers on, voices on the phone. A new world, and a scary one. "Sit there," Derek said, pointing to an armchair near the reception. Liam obeyed. The women behind the counter looked at him oddly, but said nothing. Derek returned minutes later with a water bottle and a sandwich wrapped in foil. "Eat." The boy didn't even say thank you. He unwrapped the sandwich and devoured it in seconds, eyes alert with each bite, as if expecting to be kicked out at any moment. "Now listen," Derek said, sitting across from him. "What you gave me out there isn't a resume. It's a cry for help. You understand that?" Liam swallowed what was left of the bread and nodded. "I tried to write it right, but I don't know much. Haven't been to school in a long time." "And what can you do?" "I cleaned bathrooms at a gas station once. Collected cardboard. Helped a man at a Chinese restaurant carry trash. I can stack things, hold doors. I can learn anything, sir." "And why did you choose me?" "Because you came out of the store with a full bag. You were wearing a suit, and no one else looked at me all week." Silence settled between them again. Derek pressed his lips together and crossed his arms. "I've never hired anyone like you before. I own a consulting firm. I work with big companies. It's not a place for kids. I can just clean or help with whatever no one wants to do. Do you have documents?" Just a torn birth certificate. It's at the shelter, but I know my full name and date of birth, and my ID number too." Derek was silent for a long moment. Then he stood. "Give me a moment. I'll see what I can do." He disappeared down the glass-walled corridors. Liam remained seated, surrounded by the scent of new carpets and strong coffee. He watched people walking back and forth. Shiny shoes, phones to ears, folders in arms. They seemed to float. It was like being on another planet, one where no one cried from hunger, one where no one had to pretend to sleep to ward off the cold. Derek returned 15 minutes later. "Here's what I can offer," he said, handing over a printed sheet with small text. "A part-time shift 3 times a week. I can't officially register you yet, but I can pay you under the table with an advance and help with clothes and food. Let's see how you do, Liam." The boy took the sheet with trembling hands. He read, or tried to. Some words he didn't understand, but he saw the number of days, the schedule, and the amount. A number he had never seen next to his name. Is this real? It is. But there are rules. No disappearing, no being late, and no lying to anyone. Liam raised his tear-filled eyes. "I never lied to anyone, sir." Derek held out his hand. Liam hesitated, then shook it firmly. "Welcome, Liam." It was in that moment that his world truly began to move. Liam swept the office entrance right at 7 in the morning. The autumn breeze pushed dry leaves under the glass door of Monroe and Livingston. He wore a uniform 2 sizes too big, donated by a maintenance worker, light grey shirt and pants rolled up at the ankles. He'd gotten a haircut at the shelter and taken a shower the night before. For the first time in months, he felt clean, but the cold still cut through his thin skin, and his stomach ached silently even after the black coffee served by the receptionist, who didn't bother to hide her discomfort at seeing him there so early. At 11 years old, Liam tried to act like an adult. He walked upright, said "sir" and "ma'am" even when ignored, didn't touch anything without permission, didn't sit unless invited. It was as if he were walking an invisible tightrope where one wrong move could push him back into nothingness. "You got here early," Derek remarked as he exited the elevator with a folder in hand. "Couldn't sleep much," Liam replied, avoiding eye contact. "Sweeping early, that's good. Got work for you today." Derek headed to his office but stopped halfway down the hall. "And Liam?" The boy lifted his face. "Good job yesterday." The client noticed the clean floor at the entrance. A small smile appeared, quick, subtle, but real. That morning, the boy was assigned to organize the supply room. Stacks of papers, boxes of files, jars of clips and labels. Nothing glamorous, but he treated every box like it was precious. He sorted by color, aligned the edges, used an old ruler he found under a shelf. The janitor, Mr. Townsend, a stern man with calloused hands, watched in silence. "Never seen a kid clean without complaining," he said after a while. Liam didn't answer. He kept organizing. "How old are you again?" 11. "And you really want to work?" "I do. Really do." "Then if you're serious, show up at this time every day. I'll see what else you can do without getting the suits riled up." It was the kind of praise Liam would keep forever. In the afternoon, Derek called him in for a quick talk. "I need to be direct," he said, sitting on the edge of his desk, arms crossed. "I can't keep you here if there's any kind of trouble. Understand what's at stake?" "I do, sir." "Today, a staff member complained you were standing too close to the printer, said it looked like you were snooping." Liam's eyes widened. "I was just trying to understand how the machine works. I saw the papers come out on their own and—" "It's okay," Derek interrupted. "I just want you to know that around here, everything you do is being watched. People aren't used to someone like you in this environment, so you'll have to be twice as careful." "I will, sir. I promise." Derek sighed. He looked tired. Liam noticed the dark circles, the loosened tie, his fingers drumming on the desk. "Do you have a safe place to sleep?" "I stay at a shelter with other boys, but it's not very peaceful." "Ever thought about going to a foster home?" Liam shrugged. "I've been transferred 3 times. They always shut down or kick us out when we turn 11. And school?" I stopped over a year ago. Silence. All right, Derek said at last. Give me a few more days. We'll try to figure out a better solution for you. For now, focus on your work. The boy nodded. He was more than used to vague promises, but something felt different in that tone. It wasn't pity, it was something else, like he was genuinely trying to find space where there was none. As Liam left the building, he bumped into a woman balancing a laptop and a coffee cup. She ran into him and dropped her keys. He bent down instantly. "Here you go, ma'am." She took the keys without thanking him, just looked him up and down. "Do you work here?" "Yes, ma'am." She seemed skeptical, but walked off without another word. The next day, he was assigned to organize the supply cabinets. While sorting toner boxes, he found an unused notepad. He tore out a page, folded it, and put it in his pocket, then picked up a pen left on the floor. At lunchtime, with a donated meal in front of him, Liam unfolded the paper and began copying words he saw on people's badges. Consultant, manager, finance. He didn't know the meaning of them all, but liked how they sounded, tried to mimic the letters, the strokes. He wrote, misspelled, scratched out, tried again. Derek walked by and stopped. "What are you writing?" "Words I see." "Why?" "I want to learn, so I can write correctly next time." "Can I see?" Liam showed him. The words were uneven, some misspelled, but there was effort in each one. Derek held the paper and looked at it for a few seconds. "Do you have a notebook?" "No." "Can you wait here a bit?" Liam nodded. Derek returned minutes later with a black-covered notebook and a brand-new blue pen. "Here, every day, write 5 new words. And write what you think they mean. End of the week, bring it to me. Deal." Liam's eyes lit up like he'd been given treasure. Deal. In the days that followed, he started arriving earlier and earlier. He learned to restock disposable cups in the break room, to separate recyclable trash, to refill toilet paper in the second-floor bathrooms. The employees began greeting him with shy nods. Some even said, "Good morning," for real. Mr. Townsend took him along for small repairs, taught him how to use a screwdriver, how to fit a screw. Liam listened with absolute focus. "You've got a knack for this," the janitor said one day. "Just need the right push." And even if he didn't quite understand what the right push meant, Liam knew something was changing inside him. On Friday, with 2 pages already filled in the notebook, he went up to Derek's office and waited outside. When the man came out, Liam proudly held out the notebook. "I did the first 10 words. Derek took it, flipped through quickly and smiled. "A commitment, huh? Big word. Saw it on a wall sign, next to the company mission. I thought it sounded nice. And what do you think it means? That someone doesn't give up?" Derek nodded. He was surprised and, in a way, moved. That's a good definition. Little by little, without even noticing, Liam was no longer the street kid. He was becoming part of something. He still didn't know what, but he was starting to feel it. And for the first time in a long while, he was starting to hope. Liam climbed onto the unsteady chair in the break room to reach the top shelf. He stretched his arms slowly, trying not to knock over the boxes of coffee filters. Behind one of them, he found a glass jar filled with colorful, adhesive labels. He came down carefully, holding the jar with both hands, and set it on the counter like it was fine porcelain. "You're going to hurt yourself," came Mr. Townsend's deep voice behind him. Liam turned with a shy smile. "I got it without falling, sir." "Just this time." The old janitor grumbled something and pointed to a toolbox in the corner. "Today you're going to learn how to replace a cabinet hinge. The ones in the women's restroom are squeaking." Liam nodded eagerly. He picked up the toolkit and followed the man through the 4th-floor hallways. The smell of coffee and expensive perfume no longer intimidated him. He was starting to memorize the room names, the people, the floors. As he held the door open for Mr. Townsend, he glimpsed a presentation being projected through the glass panel of the conference room. Derek was standing, gesturing in front of a screen. A group of business people watched in silence. ties, tailored suits, expensive folders on the table. And there, among them, was the man who had once stopped on the sidewalk to listen to a boy with a crumpled paper in hand. "Liam!" Townsend called. "Daydreaming's how you poke your hand with a screwdriver." The boy turned immediately. "Sorry, sir." While they worked in the bathroom, Townsend taught with patience. Each replaced hinge was a small milestone. Liam sweated with concentration. The sound of the screw turning, the smell of metal, the logic behind the parts. It was all new, but it made sense. After lunch, he received a different task, assisting the receptionist with filing old documents. A stack of blue folders, sealed envelopes, expired labels. He carefully sorted the dates, double-checked the names. When he finished, the woman, who had barely spoken to him before, said, "You're more detail-oriented than most interns we've had here." Liam smiled, a brief smile, but it didn't go unnoticed. At the end of the day, Derek called him into his office. He was leaning against the desk, fiddling with his watch, tired but alert. "I've got 2 things to tell you," he began. Liam stood still, hands behind his back. "First, you're doing very well. The cleaning staff said you don't just get the job done, you notice what needs to be improved. That means a lot around here." "Thank you, sir." "Second, one of the firm's partners questioned your presence, said it might hurt the company's image." The boy deflated. Did I do something wrong?" "No. But listen, Liam, not everyone's going to understand you being here. You need to be ready for that. The more you show competence, the harder it'll be for anyone to question your place." Liam pressed his lips together, trying to hold back frustration. "I understand." Derek stood up, walked over to him. "I had to prove I belonged here when I started too, but I wasn't your age, or half as strong as you." The boy looked up with a mix of pride and uncertainty. "Can I keep coming?" "Yes, but now we raise the bar." Derek handed him a printed sheet. "Here's a list of more complex tasks. I need you to start understanding how the operation works behind the scenes. That includes inventory organization, restocking supplies, meeting room support. Think you can handle it?" Liam read each line with effort. Some words were hard, but he didn't hesitate. "I think so, sir." "Then tomorrow, 7 a.m. sharp, you'll be training with the admin team." That night at the shelter, Liam sat on his bed and opened the black notebook. Under the words of the day, he wrote in big letters, "Operational support, helping everything run smoothly." He smiled. It was the first time he tried to come up with a definition on his own. He felt more part of things, more useful, and maybe for the first time in his life, less disposable. The next morning, the training began. The operations assistant, a practical woman named Claire, took him to the supply room. "This is the heart of the office routine," she said, opening a metal door. Inside were stacks and stacks of boxes, shelves of cartridges, envelopes, cables, extension cords, old phones. Chaos. "Your first mission, turn this into an organized space." Liam blinked. It seemed impossible, but he nodded. "I'll start with the labels." Claire watched him for a few minutes before walking off without another word. Hours later, Derek passed by and found Liam kneeling on the floor, boxes open, a stack of new labels, and an organization logic that surprised even him. "Did you come up with this system?" "I thought it was easier to sort by type and floor. That way, people know exactly where to look." Derek gave a side smile. "Write that method down. It might become the company standard." Liam froze. "Standard?" "Yes. When something works, we repeat it. That's efficiency." The boy started to write it down, but before writing the word, he asked, "How do you spell efficiency?" Derek spelled it out slowly. Liam repeated it letter by letter like he was recording a magic formula. Later, at the end of the day, Claire commented to Derek in the break room, "He's got a natural sense of logic, organized the supply room better than the last 2 interns we had." Derek nodded, sipping his coffee in silence. But inside, something was growing. A quiet idea, a kind of admiration that wasn't paternal, it was professional, as if somehow Liam was already part of the team. On Friday, an important meeting was being prepared in the main room. Liam, assigned to help with setup, placed water bottles on the glass table, aligned chairs, laid out branded notepads. As he finished, he was heading out when he heard voices outside. "Is that the boy?" It was a firm female voice. "Yes," replied Derek. "And you still think it's a good idea letting him roam around here?" Liam leaned back behind the door, motionless. "I do, because in 3 weeks he's done more for this officer's order than many hired professionals. What if there are legal issues? I'm already working on that. I have a lawyer looking into the possibility of creating a social integration program through the company. And besides, pause. Besides, he deserves a chance." Silence. Liam slowly stepped away from the door. He descended the service stairs, heart racing. The words echoed in his mind. Integration program. Legal issues. But also, he deserves a chance. He sat in the reception area, pulled out his notebook and wrote, "Chance, when someone believes in you before you've proven yourself." He looked at the sentence, reread it, replaced "before you've proven yourself" with "even without proof." Chance, when someone believes in you even without proof. And for the first time he felt that maybe, just maybe, what he was living was more than work. It was the beginning of something new, something he didn't know how to name, but was finally starting to believe might belong to him too. Liam pressed the elevator button firmly, holding 2 stacked boxes of A4 paper. The button lit up, the doors opened, and he stepped in alone, balancing the weight in his thin arms. He pressed floor 2. He'd been tasked with restocking supplies in the legal department's meeting room. He took the job seriously, like everything since he got the chance. As he stepped out of the elevator, he heard raised voices. An open door revealed 2 men arguing over spreadsheets and deadlines. He passed silently, like a trained shadow, reached the indicated room, pushed the door open with his foot, and started organizing the cabinet. That's where Claire found him minutes later. "Liam, I need you downstairs right now." He stopped, startled. "Did something happen?" "You've been called to reception. Department of Social Services." Liam's heart raced. The words social services came loaded with threats and bad memories, forced transfers, broken promises, cold places, people who never made eye contact. He swallowed hard and nodded. At reception, 2 agents were waiting, a graying man and a woman with short hair. Both wore blazers and carried folders. Claire stood to the side, watching. "Liam Parker," the man said. "Yes, sir. I'm Thomas Reed. This is Agent Laverne. We received a report of child labor at this address." Liam froze. "No, I'm not being forced. I asked for this job." "We know, but we still need to investigate. Do you have a place to sleep?" "Yes. I stay at a shelter." "Which one?" He said the name. They took notes. "We need you to come with us, just to verify the information. We're not here to punish you, okay?" Derek arrived just then, alert eyes, composed expression. "Good afternoon, agents. I'd like to understand what's going on." "We received an anonymous report," the woman said, "about a minor being kept in a corporate environment without registration. This boy is under my responsibility. We have documentation of his presence here as informal support. He's not under contract. There's no direct violation. Even so, we must take him in. Standard procedure." Liam turned to Derek, eyes pleading. The man took a deep breath. "Go with them. I'll be here. This isn't the end." The boy nodded, even without fully understanding. He got into the black government car and left without looking back. Hours later, in a public building in Brooklyn, Liam was answering cold questions under fluorescent lights. Who was Derek? Where did he sleep? How long had he been working there? Was anyone forcing him? Was he being paid? All the answers were simple, but he felt like they weren't enough. The adults' expressions were blank, impenetrable. "You can't continue at that office," the agent concluded. "But I didn't do anything wrong. We know, but there are rules." "Then change the rules, sir. Just this once. I was just trying to be someone." Silence. Agent Laverne leaned forward, voice softer. You are someone, Liam. We just need to understand what's best for you right now. The best for me was being there. She sighed. He understood it was no use. That night, he slept in another shelter. Strange, noisy, creaky beds. The donated uniform hanging on a chair. The black notebook clutched to his chest. He felt like he was back at the beginning, but he wasn't the same boy anymore. At the office, Liam's absence was noticed by the second day. The receptionist mentioned the waiting area looked less tidy. Claire noticed the supply room was messy again. Mr. Townsend grumbled about nobody putting boxes in the right place. On Wednesday, Derek stepped into a meeting with the company's legal team. I want to know what we can do to bring him back. Legally. It's complicated, one lawyer said. He's a minor. Can't be hired without a court order. What if we get that authorization? You'll need to prove it's in his best interest, that he has support, structure, some kind of mentorship. I provide that. She raised an eyebrow. Are you willing to become his legal guardian? Derek was silent for a few seconds, then replied, if that's what it takes, yes. 3 days later, Liam sat on a bench in the courtyard of the new shelter, watching a pigeon peck at crumbs on the ground. He held his notebook on his lap but didn't write. The sky was grey, the sound of cars distant. A social worker approached. You have a visitor. He looked up. Derek was there, standing, holding an envelope. I brought a letter, he said, extending the envelope, and a proposal. Liam took it slowly, opened it. Inside was a contract, a responsibility agreement, and a small handwritten note. Chance is when someone believes in you, but opportunity is when you believe too. Come back. The office feels emptier without you. The boy's eyes filled with tears. Is this serious? More serious than most things I've signed. And I can come back? With authorization and with a plan. You'll go to school, I'll supervise, and you'll keep helping, but with rules. I accept. Did you read everything? I don't need to. I trust you. Derek nodded. But now you'll learn how to read a contract word by word. Understood? Understood, sir. The following week, Liam returned to the office. This time with an official badge, new uniform, and a folder with his documents regularized for the Youth Apprentice program, which Derek created with legal specifically for his case. At the entrance, the employees paused what they were doing when they saw him. Claire smiled. Mr. Townsend gave a nod of approval. The receptionist shook her head in disbelief, but didn't hide her smile. Welcome back, said Derek, stepping out of his office. Good to be back, sir. And your notebook? Full. I wrote every day, even while I was gone. Derek took the notebook, read a few pages, stopped at one that said, persistence. When you keep going even when everyone says it won't work. He closed the notebook and handed it back. Ready for the next challenge? Always. Derek pointed to the meeting room. Today you'll help set up the investor event, and this time you're wearing a tie. Liam's eyes widened. A tie? I taught you how to spell efficiency. Now I'm going to teach you how to tie a tie. Come with me. The boy smiled, and this time it wasn't shy, it was full, because now he knew there was a place for him, and it wasn't out of pity, it was because he had earned it. Liam looked at himself in the break room mirror, adjusting the red tie Derek had helped him knot earlier. The white shirt was still a little big in the shoulders, but he no longer looked out of place. The reflection staring back wasn't the lost boy from the 14th Street sidewalk. It was someone who now knew exactly where he was and why. Upstairs, the event hall was nearly ready. Tables were covered with dark cloths, understated flower arrangements, and presentation materials laid out with precision. It was Monroe and Livingston's investor event day, an important panel, and Liam was part of the support team. Careful with the crystal glasses, Claire warned, and remember to hand out these materials only after the company video ends. Timing matters. Yes, ma'am. Oh, and smile. You represent the company now. He smiled subtly as always. Understood. The room began to fill, people in perfectly pressed suits, genuine leather bags, expensive watches, their steps muffled on the carpet, their voices soft, laughs polite, handshakes rehearsed. Liam watched everything without being noticed, absorbing every detail, like a trained spy, a silent guardian of the room's balance. When the investors had taken their seats, Derek stepped onto the small stage. He picked up the microphone. The soft lighting framed him. "Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before we get into numbers, I want to share a short story." Liam, standing near the tech table, froze. "A few weeks ago, I was approached by a boy outside a supermarket. He handed me a crumpled piece of paper and said it was his resume. The paper had mistakes, but it also had something missing from many resumes I've seen. Truth, willpower, clarity." The room fell completely silent. "That boy now works here. Not because we felt sorry for him, but because he proved every single day that effort and character matter more than perfection. Today, he is part of what we're building." The audience's eyes shifted subtly toward Liam. He kept his chin up. His heart pounded, his hands trembled, but not from fear. It was recognition, and for the first time, he felt it. Pride. Derek continued with projections, data, charts, but the impact of that story lingered, hovering like a shared memory, a reminder that results don't always come from where you expect. The following week, Liam was called into a meeting with Derek after hours. Night had fallen, and the city outside had begun to light up. "Have a seat," Derek said, pulling out the chair across from his desk. The boy obeyed. "I have news." Liam sat up straight, attentive. "The district public school has accepted your enrollment. We'll organize your schedule. You'll study in the morning, come here in the afternoons as an apprentice, and at night, well, at night you'll do what every kid your age deserves. Rest." Liam's eyes widened. "I'm going back to school? You are. And not only that, we're arranging your official documents. The social worker is helping. I'm also filing a formal request for supervised guardianship. We're going to make it all official." The boy was silent for a few moments, breathing deeply, eyes fixed on the table. "I never thought this would happen." Why not? Because, until now, all I had was nothing. Derek shook his head. "Now you've got more than that. You've got a future." Liam stood and held out his hand. Derek hesitated, then shook it, just like they always did. But before letting go, the boy pulled out the black notebook from his pocket. "Can I show you something?" Of course. He opened to the last page. There was a list of 22 words, the ones he'd learned since he got there, each with a definition he had written himself. Dignity, responsibility, opportunity, discipline, empathy. Derek flipped through the earlier pages, visibly moved. "You wrote all of this? 5 new words every day, just like you told me. This is worth more than a lot of reports I've read." Liam smiled, not shyly, but with confidence. Months passed. Liam now had a routine. School in the morning, lunch with the admin team, support tasks in the office in the afternoon. He was known in the hallways. He had learned to answer phones, deliver documents for signature, organize physical files faster than any previous intern. One day, Claire entered the room with a flyer. "There's a citywide school writing contest. Theme: What opportunity means. I think you should enter. Me? You have everything it takes to write something powerful." He took the flyer, thoughtful, sat in the lunchroom, and started sketching ideas in his black notebook. At the top of the page, he wrote the title, "When a Crumpled Paper Means More Than a Diploma." And there, with his worn blue pen, he began telling his story. Not with drama, but with truth, with precision, with the clarity of someone who had lived every line. Derek read the essay before it was submitted. He didn't change a word. He just signed as guardian and looked the boy in the eye. "Has anyone ever told you you have the voice of a writer?" Liam smiled, this time with tears in his eyes. "No, but you just did." Months later, Liam stood on stage at Brooklyn Public School. He won first place in the writing competition. He read his text aloud in front of parents, teachers, classmates. He spoke without trembling, and it was there, in the middle of the street, with hungry eyes, that I learned the world doesn't change when we beg. It changes when someone reads our crumpled paper and sees the human behind it. Applause, loud, standing ovation. In the crowd, Derek filmed with his phone. Claire clapped with a proud smile, and Mr. Townsend, in his flannel shirt, discreetly wiped his eyes. Years later, Liam would open his own business, a support service for small offices. He would use as a slogan a simple phrase, written in the same crooked handwriting from his first resume: "I learn fast." And every new employee would receive, on their first day, a black notebook and a blue pen, because he knew better than anyone that everything can start with a crumpled piece of paper if someone has the courage to believe.